Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nafila Maharani. I'm communication science student of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I'm PR research course participant. In this video, I will explain about understanding communication audit. Concept of communication audits. Communication audits were introduced by George Odion through his work An Application of Communication Audit, which was published in the journal Personal Psychology. This term, audit, indicates that communication process can be examined, evaluated, and measured as carefully and systematically as financial records. Communication activities, which are the implementation of a communication system or special communication program, can be measured so that the quality and performance of workers such as officials, executive, and communication staff can be known and, if necessary, can be improved so as to increase effectiveness and efficiency in communication. Communication audits can be considered to be able to show persons' professionalization standards in the corporate and business world. The standard of professionalism could be realized with the birth of a communication audit committee performed by International Communication Association or ICA for the 1971 and until 1973 period. The ICA committee was able to build a communication audit data bank for various organizations or companies with the aim of being the reference and comparison for similar activities. There are 4 types of characteristics that can hinder development of popularity of communication audits, including: first is communication audit are complex, the second, communication audit take a long time, the third, communication audit require non-communication skills, and the fourth, the impact of communication audit is dire. Why audits are important? Communication audits are important because they can help to improve the effectiveness of an organization or company. Communication audits can bring organizational managerial benefits and make scientific contributions. The scientific contribution of the results of this communication audit is formulated in the ICA communication audit. In addition, communication audit can function to accurately measure the flow of information, message content, and the attitude on and perception of those responsible for communication, provide accurate empirical data about attitudes, perceptions, and communication behavior, and make long-term communication measurements. Meanwhile, the managerial function of the communication audit is to compare the status of communication system before and after measurement, to find out and determine organizational structure as a tool for a successful organization, and to develop new communication training program to overcome problems found in the communication audit. What are audited? Communication philosophy, written formal policies, the position of communication among management priorities, management support, and communication practices, example finance, whether there has been centralized and decentralized communication. Second, organization, staffing, and compensation, organizational structure, position of duties and responsibilities, salaries, and production support. Exiting communication product, formal methods and media for communication with subordinates, with superiors, and laterally. Techniques used for communication with external audience, such as printed material like annual report, fact books, new release, and etc. And then video tapes, films, and etc. Publication, bulletins, closed circuit television, teleconferences, memo, social media, and others. Personal communication, quantity, quality, reliability of information, and effectiveness of interpersonal interactions. Meetings, their frequency, content, format, effectiveness, and duration. And the last, the needs and expectation of organization member. Data collection and communication network analysis techniques in communication skills. The first, communication audit method techniques. There are several communication audit techniques and methods developed by ICA, which are known as the 5 measurement tools system, which are formulated as follows. First, survey questionnaire. Please note the length of questionnaire required. If the questionnaire is too long and takes a long time to fill in, it will not be filled out carefully, and there are even be something missed or filled out haphazardly. But if the questionnaire is too short and does not contain complete information, it's no use. Therefore, we must be able to consider the range of organization power required, the amount of time available, and special tips such as tips for reducing the font so that the questionnaire does not look bulky. And the second is interviews. In interviews, the questions and answers are carried out face-to-face individually. These interviews aim to test, check, and complete the incomplete data. There are two guidelines for face-to-face interviews, namely,
First, exploratory interview guide, used to collect important information for problem recognition by using open questions. The second, in-depth interview guide, often also called follow-up interviews, which are specifically conducted to help interpret the findings obtained. An interviewer should be someone who is used to interviewing people so that the interview can get maximum results. A good interview should be able to use 6 types of questions to obtain different data. First, open question, used to make respondents speak freely and openly in expressing something. Second, closed question, used to get short answer yes or no. And third, specific question, used to dig up special information. And next, reflective question, used to encourage respondents to comment more deeply. Next, leading questions, used to direct the respondent's answer, not an honest answer. And the last, presupposition question, used to make respondents think ahead or into the future.
third is network analysis technique. The aim is to map communication activities involving respondents in their organization or work unit. Respondents were asked to explain the extent to which they were involved in communication with colleagues or the unit where they work. According to the ICA, this really needs to be done. To carry out this analysis, a special person is needed to get more effectively results. And the fourth, communication experience, known as the critical incidents technique, in which respondents are asked to describe communication events that are considered to be incidents or an event. The purpose of this communication event or experience technique is to obtain a basic profile regarding communication success or failure in various work unit or organization. There is one thing that needs to be considered in communication experience. Respondents usually tend to remember past incident of failed communication compared to successful communication. Therefore, the respondents need to be reminded that what needs to be described is limited to striking events such as striking communication failures or striking communication successes. 5 is communication diary. This method is only suitable for organizations with a complex and clear structure. This method cannot be used for workers who never use documents in their work. Usually, workers who can use these methods are office employees and managerial personnel. In these methods, respondents are asked to make notes in diary for a week about their communication activities. Next, data collection and analysis technique. An audit must emphasize several aspects such as the validity or reliability of an instrument, the suitability of the form to be measured, the sampling method, the audit period, and the suitability of the location. To ensure a method must be adapted to the needs of the organization's management. Audit objectives. There are 3 types of data collection in communication audit. Among others are: first, observation techniques. It is an activity that observes behavior carried out by other people or one's own behavior. If you want to observe your own behavior, it is called a task study. But if you observe other people's behavior, you are called a trained observer. Task study. It is a data collection technique that gives respondents the opportunity to record their own communication behavior periodically and regularly. This technique can be produce good data if the researcher carefully pays attention to the 5 conditions commonly used for the observation, namely, record relate matters as completely as possible, record as much as possible how and to what extent personal thought about the event, separates records of facts from records of personal thought about those facts, and develop notes with as much detail and explanation as possible. Check the notes again within 24 hours after completing the notes. There are several advantages of assignment study, namely, provides detailed information about number of communication occurred, provides complete information about the various types of communication network used, provide detailed information about the direction of communication, provide information that is free from observational and memory bias. Meanwhile, the weakness can be categorized as follows. It takes a long time, so it often becomes impractical. The data collected is sometimes too much and excessive, so some data cannot be used. Data quality depends on the level of mutual trust and the willingness of respondents to collaborate with researchers. Cannot provide information about distortions in message and intensity of loss arising from message and repetition of communication networks. Second is trained observer. Collecting data by giving the observers the opportunity to observe and describe the behavior of people from outside themselves. Note, text, pay attention to other people's behavior by being trained and equipped with vigilance so as not to be biased and sensitive to the objects. This trained observer technique can provide the same benefits as task to the technique, which includes the following. First, provide useful data to describe the communication load that must be carried out by key officials. The second, provide information about the network and communication direction. The third, provide information that is free from contamination and bias in the interest of respondents. Next is interview technique. Interview basically includes 2 different techniques, namely interview technique with questionnaire and face-to-face interview technique. These 2 techniques are usually used to collect about respondent perceptions, attitude, and knowledge related to information and in the organization. The questions used to both techniques are prepared based on the same principles. The interview technique with a questionnaire is a written data collection tool. Various forms of questions can be combined and used in a questionnaire according to the type of purpose of the audit. In an interview with a questionnaire, the interviewer is not as free as in a face-to-face interview because he is bound to the formulation of questionnaire that must be read and filled in. This has consequences for the quality of the data obtained. Last, content analysis techniques aims to make an analysis of the content of message in the document. This technique involves selecting written communications or document to be studied, creating measurement categorized based on sampling, measuring the frequency of occurrence of categories according to specific coding rules, carrying out certain statistical tests on the data in the research, and drawing conclusions from the data. Content analysis techniques are used for various purposes, such as measuring the level of understanding of company documents, analyzing them in employees' newsletters, analyzing work manuals, and internal memos, which are the types most widely circulated in an organization. There are several advantages of content analysis technique, namely, first, different from the other technique mentioned previously, content analysis is a subtle research technique, so it does not affect the fairness of the data. Second, content analysis accept the material as it is without first arranging it in a structure by a researcher. The third, content analysis technique are very sensitive to the content of data. thus being able to process symbolic forms. The fourth content analysis technique can handle very large amounts of data. That's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.